Welcome to Poly Stories. Thank you for taking the time making this interview. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Olimaipa Tagilala. Everyone calls me Oli for short. I am 26. I live in Hayward, and I am Fijian.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
All right. How'd you grow up? How did you talk about it? How'd you grow up?
So I was born in Fiji. I lived there until I was 7, and like my childhood there in Fiji was pretty cool. I mostly grew up with my grandparents on my dad's side of the family, only because I don't know, in Fiji it's a patriarchal society, so like everyone tends to lean more towards the father's side of the family, so that's why we grew up there. I feel like now, like 2020 hindsight vision is like hindsight is 2020, so just like I feel like I was living in a bubble in Fiji.
I can imagine living in the islands, right?
Yeah, because it's like because we lived out in like the boonies, and my grandfather had a farm out in like 15 minutes out of the main city of Nassau, so we lived there most of my life, and then we moved to the capital Suva when I was about like 4 or 5. And then, but life there was easy. I think it was easy because it's like, you know, you're a kid. You think everything's easy. But if there's anything, I'm trying to think if there's any like events that, there is. So when I was a baby, I had contracted meningitis. Bacterial meningitis, which is basically, it affects your spinal cord and like that, and it got to the point where like I almost died when I was a baby. Oh dang. So, but like thank goodness my grandmother's there. She did something, I don't know what she did, but I was able to be alive right now. So I'm right here. Oh, did they give you some of the Islander treatment? Did it go to the doctor? I don't know. My mom said like she just pinched the inside of my thighs like really hard, and then like I just like woke up from a seizure, and I was like, what the heck? I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I think
I remember that growing up in the islands.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. Like my parents, like I kind of remember like picking up leaves here and there. Like if you're hurt, like the kids knew what type of leaves to pick up. So like they just chew on it and just put it on there and then like just go run around again. So Fiji was cool. And then I moved to the U.S. in 2000 when I was 7. That was like a huge change. Like when I think about back now,
how old were you when you moved here?
7.
7, okay.
I was 7 years old. And imagine like I went from like seeing like all my like first cousins and like on a weekly basis to like moving to the U.S. where it's just like nothing. Like my parents came here. They came here and they didn't know anyone. They had
no family.
They had no they didn't know of any family. They didn't know of any family. And like it was like I think about it, like I was like, wow, my parents really like made that happen. Like, and I remember moving here to the U.S. We lived in a small studio apartment. It was like the size, like literally the size of this room. Like there was 5 of us staying there. We stayed there for 3 years because like that's just where they were able to afford that. And my dad, he worked a minimum of 2 jobs every day. So on occasion I saw him, and like my mom worked 2 jobs too sometimes. And I remember my parents leaving us alone at home. And like as bad as it sounds, like you have to think about like my parents were new people to the U.S. They didn't know anyone. They they didn't trust anyone to come into our house and like take care of their 3 kids. So the next best thing was for them to like trust their 3 kids to live and stay in the house. And like I remember my mom, like she'd always like train us like, I was like, if you hear anyone knocking on the door, don't answer it. Stay away from the windows. Don't go play outside. And then I remember it was during the time of like the dial-up. Like you can be on the phone and the computer at the same time. So my mom used to give us schedules like, okay, if you want to use the computer, use it between this time and this time, and then this time and this time I'll be calling on my break just to check up on you guys. And so like they did that like clockwork every single time.
Yeah.
And so I think about it now and I'm just like, dang, that really, me and my siblings were really isolated.
Yeah.
Now I think about it, cause like, and it was okay because I remember like just playing games with my sister and my brother and just like getting in trouble in the house.
Yeah.
I think one time my parents came home and I shaved like half of my eyebrow off. Cause there's only so much you could do inside like a small house. And like they did that we lived there for 3 years, and then we like I feel like it was like a progression thing because we went from a studio apartment to a 3-bedroom, and then a 4-bedroom, and then now we live in a house in Hayward. So it's like a progression thing. But thinking about like my childhood, it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst, but it was as good as you can get it. Because the situations, and I didn't see that we were poor or anything like that, but like I think about it now and I'm like, dang, we were poor. And it's like that, like my parents did a good job on like
just doing what they can with what they have,
and like my parents before they moved to the US, they had really good jobs in Fiji. My dad was a police officer. He was basically doing work as a detective. And then my mom was also a police officer. She was working in the call center, so when people call in, like she's the person picking up. So they had really good jobs, good paying jobs there, and then they left all of that to come to the US where they were bagging groceries, working security for like bars and like cleaning houses and stuff like that. So I think about like that changeover, just like they had good stable jobs to like jobs that like could easily get rid of them like in a snap. It's just like wow. Like, and
then that kind of inspired, like, you know, especially like, you know, made you.
Yeah, I think about it now and I'm just like, dang, they hustled, because like that's the best thing they could do for us. And like I think
what's the biggest thing you learned from that experience that you kind of apply to yourself now?
From that experience, I've learned that like no one has an excuse not to do well in this country, because there's all these opportunities out there. Just like if you can't find a job, there's someone that's gonna like willingly pay you to like at least clean their yard. Or, like there's open opportunities everywhere. You just have to look for it. And don't give up, because the moment you give up, that's when when all things just like gets thrown out the window. But like I've learned that anything's possible, because my parents, they've had odd jobs. Like they've had odd jobs. Like my dad worked for he had a lot of school jobs. Like he worked as security guard at a high school. He's also worked as a truancy officer. He's worked at Marriott. So it's like odd jobs here and there. He's worked as a bus driver. So it's like if you want to look for it, you'll find it. It's just you need to have like that sense of urgency in you to do it.
Something lazy.
Yes, basically, because it's I feel like it's harder to be lazy than it is to find work to do. Because there's no excuse not to be.
Cause you feel like a lot of the young Polynesians now, like because they were too young to see that experience from their parents growing up. Like you know, sometimes you hear I hear all the time from my younger siblings, younger cousins, younger siblings are like, oh, you know, my life is hard, or you know, they think they think their situation they're living right now is so difficult. But luckily for me, I saw my parents, right, the same thing you went through, and see what, and especially I'm from the islands too, so I saw the grind, the sacrifice. So that kind of translated and made my identity, my personality. Like I gotta go out there and make things happen. But do you feel like sometimes that kind of hurts a lot of these young kids now that never saw that perspective and complaining all the time? I mean, do you see that a lot? And do you
I kind of do. But I feel like it's just like a mixture of like stubbornness and like not willing to listen, and like the American culture all mixed in. Cause like
that's true.
The American culture, it's a very like demand your own, like demand respect, or like speak your truth type of thing. Wow.
I think entitled culture.
Entitled. There we go. It's an entitlement culture.
They want things without doing anything for it.
Yeah,
I'm entitled to this.
Yeah.
No, you work for that.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like it's a mixture of that into like the culture, because it's like yeah, you grow up in this culture where it's just like you have every right to get this, but you don't see like, well, the reason you have every right to do this is because your parents work for it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, you gotta remember you do have a right, but you do have to work for it.
Yeah.
There's no like.
There's no freebies.
There's no shortcut to everything, because it's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people expect things to be handed to them. I work for customer service, and like a lot of people, if they complain, they'll get it, and it's just like, well, if you worked hard enough, you would get it too, but you'd feel better about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the Polynesian culture, it's just a mixture of like entitlement and like trying to figure out like, okay, trying to remember like, oh yeah, my parents did this, but like, that was like so long ago, it doesn't really matter to me now, type of thing. And it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking it's just like, I don't know, it's like it's just not very, I don't know. I find myself getting in that funk too, because even though I grew up in like the islands, and then I came here, I still grew up because I was so young.
Yeah.
I was 7 when I came. Like, I grew up in that like entitlement culture too, because it's like, I was like, okay, I saw my parents struggling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know I deserve this.
Yeah.
Like, this needs to be handed to me. But like, now that I'm older, I'm like, it's like, no, nothing good is free.
Yeah.
If you want good, there's always going to be struggle.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, like in the scriptures, it says like, in order for the good, there needs to be a bad. You have to understand the bad type of thing.
Okay. What was the biggest thing you learned from your mom or dad? Like the biggest thing you took from them, just growing up, watching them growing up.
My mom always says like, you know, if everything falls short, you always have family.
Yeah.
And so like, my mom's biggest thing is like, oh, we need to be a family. We need to do this. Like, we need to stick together. And like, the American culture too is kind of like, it's like it's a win-win situation, like all for one, and like you're on your own type of thing. But like, my mom was like, no, like if you're struggling, ask your family members, they'll help you. And just like, there's no one else. And then my dad is like you have to work to you need to work to get things you want, because if you want good things, you have to work for it. It's not going to be handed to you. So that's the two things there's like family and work. So those are the two things I can think of. There's other things too, but like,
those are the main things that comes to mind, right?
Comes to mind real quickly.
Gotcha. So how was your transition from Fiji to America and going to school? Like, how was that for you? Like,
how was going?
Was it an easy transition to just adjust to the American culture? What was like? Did you face any kind of difficulties of making that transition? Like, do you anything comes to mind as you remember your childhood?
There's a couple of things. Like, one thing is language. Like, I grew up. Fiji's main like government language is English. Yeah. So when I came here, like my accent was so bad. Yeah, I can relate. And like, but I knew English. But then they put me in a special class to like ESL, and I was just like, I was basically just bored in a class because I already knew the English words, and like
it wasn't American.
The
accent.
It was an American English, and then I remember my mom always telling me like, American English is rubbish. But I think language is one, and another thing is making friends, because like.
Yeah, how was that?
I don't know if I did a good job growing up, because I was like.
Where did you go to school to? Where did you go to school?
I went to Taft Elementary School it's in Redwood City. Okay. I'm trying to remember, because I remember going in the classroom and like. I have always. It goes back to like what we were talking about earlier about like representation. I went into this classroom where like all these mixed people, and like there was one Tongan girl in my class. Oh, okay. But I was like, I know she's not Fijian. Yeah. But okay, there's someone that kind of looks like me a little bit, and like I remember just sitting down and just like looking at people and just like trying to figure out. Now that I think about it, I'm like, how did I make friends when I was little? Because it's like I think I try to pretend to be someone I'm not.
Yeah.
I remember for one point in my elementary school, like I was bullied. I didn't mean to. I was just following what the other girls were doing. And that's a bad thing too, because like when you come here, I didn't like I said, I didn't know anyone. I came from like knowing like all my cousins.
You just want to fit in. You just want to do that.
I wanted to fit in all with friends, and like I just went along because like, oh, that girl said to like push this boy in the bathroom. Okay.
That's what she did.
That's what I did, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I think about it, I'm like, I mean, I apologized to the guy, and like in middle school, I was like, I'm sorry I did that. Like,
yeah, he probably messed up his whole life. And now he has bullies. Now he has mental issues now.
I mean,
you remember that one Polynesian girl at school? That's what happened. That's having issues.
It's like funny too, because I was like one of the biggest girls too in the class. Cause like, I don't know what it is about coming from the islands. Like, you come from the islands, you're like same size as everyone, but you come here and it's just like I was like one of the tallest girls in the class, and I'm like,
it's just our island gene.
Like,
warrior race. Warriors, man.
I was like, gosh darn it! Even up to the 5th grade, like there's this one picture of like we went to camp, and like all these little kids are over there, and I'm just this like tall thing in the back of the class. I think I'm the same size as I was when I was in middle school.
Yeah. So
imagine all of this trying to figure out what to do in life.
Sorry for that.
I'm like, and then me here, I'm trying to be like small, just like.
One of you still remember anything? Did you remember him? No.
I do remember him. He has a unique name. I don't want to say his name though, because.
You chance to apologize right now.
I already apologized to him though, because it's like he tried to pretend not to sing, but like you can see it's like, oh, he remembers it. Yeah. I was like, I'm sorry. Like,
oh, you met him after, like later in life?
I think we went to the same high school.
Oh.
No, yeah, it is in high school. I said sorry to him. I was like, I'm sorry I did that. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to be part of the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like now the girl that I actually was trying to follow around, she's like, she's not really doing well.
Yeah, right now.
So I'm just like.
That's like most bullies.
I think about it now. I'm like, dang, you were trying to be like that girl.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have any other influences to like help you out, and plus we didn't really go to church a lot. Yeah. Not that I can remember, or like if we did go to church, there wasn't a lot of kids around for us to be able to like hang out and play with. Mm-hmm. And yeah, my childhood was. It was funny because like another thing too, I think it was kind of hard, because we immigrated here. My parents never really let us go out and like sleep over at anyone's houses. Yeah. And like they were very strict. They're very strict. I'm a product of strict parents. Yeah. Even now, I'm 20. Oh, did I say I was 26? I'm 27. Yeah. So even now at 27 years old, my parents are still. I live at home with them. Yeah. They're still trying to like, where are you going? What are you doing? Yeah. Who are you gonna go with? Blah 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 blah. But like even then, back then, they were like, what's this person's name? Who's this person's parents? Like, are they nice? And like, no, they didn't even want to meet them either. Yeah. They didn't want to meet them because they were like, we don't have time to meet because we have to go to work. Yeah. So, I didn't really get to sleep over at anyone's houses. The only houses I slept over was in high school, and it was my cousin's house. Yeah. So. Do you have older brothers? I have. Yes, I'm the youngest of 4 kids. I have an older brother in the Solomon Islands. Mm-hmm. I have a brother here. And I have a sister. So, your older brothers, were they able to go sleep in other people's houses? Do you remember? Yeah, they did. I remember, well, it wasn't until middle school because my brother had a group of, like, really cool friends. They went everywhere together. And so it was just like, wow. How'd you feel about that? I was okay because I didn't really have any good friends like that. Yeah. So I was like, eh. But I got jealous because they did get pizza and I was like... like, what the heck? I was like, what the? And then like my dad took them out to like go-karts and like everything, but I didn't have a best friend until I got high school. Yeah. Which is like, I told someone on my mission, like, yeah, my best friend is in high school, and she looked at me, she's like, dang, that's hella sad. I was like, you know what? Shut it, just keep walking. It's me trying to be vulnerable and like, this is what I get. And I was like,
dang. No, we can cut that out. We can cut that out.
I'm okay. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that I was my first best friend.
So hey, at least you got a best friend. At least you found.
At least I found someone that's like.
Some people don't even find that best friend at all.
You know,
even in high school.
Yeah. I still. Actually, I was talking to her yesterday. So.
Was she Polynesian? Your best friend?
No, she was Filipino.
Filipino. Oh, that's good.
Mhm.
Were there a lot of Polynesians in your school? Just except that one girl you said.
Elementary school, there was a couple. Yeah, in my grade there was about 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 or 3, and then in the whole school there's about like maybe 10, 15 altogether. And like, but it's so spread out, and like eventually everyone starts to look like everyone else because like it's such a mixed school. Like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's hard to. Is that kind of weird to think about? Like
no. I think back, especially back then when we grew up, there wasn't probably a lot of Polynesian as much, but not today. It's everywhere.
Now it's everywhere.
Like the whole school is a whole Polynesian.
Yeah, everyone's family comes over. Like
now, everybody immigrated here. Now there's so many families around.
I think that's one thing I'm like jealous about. Like people like immigrants that come from like the islands and stuff. They come here. They actually have family members here. Yeah. And they have like. They're like, oh, I know so and so has this kid here, so like they'll be okay because they'll go to the same school type of thing. And just like, wow, I didn't have that. I wish I had that because then I would have had a friend already. Yeah. But like I said, it took me until high school to find a friend.
It's not good.
It's like surface level friends. That's all I had. Surface level friends because like not only, and plus I couldn't go places because my parents were super strict. And they had to work a lot, and like now I think about it, I'm grateful. Yeah. Especially with everything that's going on now, I was just like, oh dang, that's why they did that. Yeah. This is why they did that. It's like okay, I'm okay with my. I think I've made. Yeah. I'm okay now with like.
Yeah. Not bad if it's 27 or something. I know a lot of people in worse situations. 27, you're younger. Yeah. Right, so you're doing pretty good.
I'm pretty good. I think I've come a bit long.
So that's that.
That's all to say.
Just one tear, but it's all that.
There were a couple nights.
Alright. What do you think was like the hardest thing growing up in high school, like for yourself? Like,
in high school.
Yeah. As a Polynesian, like you felt like what was the hardest thing for you?
I think for me is like finding my identity. Yeah. Because like.
Can you talk about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Like in high school, like you see all these people who are like trying to find their things, and you figure out it's just like, who am I? And like you try and turn to media, social media, and like American TV and stuff like that. There's no one there. There's people the same color, but they're not really like Pacific Islanders or Polynesian because they don't really know what it's like to be a Pacific Islander, and like. Just trying to find who I am and like figure out like my purpose on earth and stuff like that. And I think that's where like church has come along, like helped me out a lot in that aspect. And
as far as like finding identity, like, can you be like more specific? Like what do you mean?
Well, because I grew up in such a strict household, like I was like basically told to do things like make sure you do this, make sure you do that, make sure that this and that, and like I never really had that opportunity to actually think for myself. Yeah. And like properly like come up with solutions because like my parents already had that solution because they already lived through it. It's just like, oh okay, you need help with your homework, like this and this or something else. And but it's just like thinking for myself and like making decisions because I don't blame my parents for that because they had good intentions because they didn't want us to mess up like they did when they were younger.
Yeah, that's true.
And like because we were in a new country, they didn't want us to stray away like those people on TV and become like these type of people. But like And just like thinking for myself, and it wasn't until it wasn't until my mission that I actually started like realizing like what the heck I have to figure things out on my own. And like my parents taught a lot. They taught me a lot of things. Like they taught me how to cook. They taught me how to like make like, okay, if you come to this decision, you make this one because this one is the best one. Well, but they never really like said like, why can't I choose the other one?
Yeah.
Like they always pushed us to one side, but they never really explained everything else.
Or the process of how to come to a decision.
Yeah. Okay. And like it's not anything of their fault or their own, because that's what they knew.
Yeah, they're just teaching you what they know.
They're just teaching you what you know. Yeah. And like that process of me trying to figure out myself is just like I've learned that in order to know who you are, you have to experience things, and you have to go through that process of thinking of just like, okay, this is why I can't do this. My parents taught me this because this is so and so, but like if I choose this way, you have to think about like, okay, if I choose this way, this is what's gonna happen. Like consequences, like choices and consequences, like you have to think of that. And I don't think I really properly learned like the difference, like the association of consequences and choices, like in full depth. Like I knew, like my parents always said, like if you choose bad, you're gonna get bad. Yeah. If you're gonna choose good, you're always gonna get good. But you never really explained like, okay, this is why you do it. This is how you do it, and this is like why you should always do this, because this is what is this. If that makes any sense.
No, I feel like what you said is true, because the one lesson we learn in life about making choices is the accountability part. If we make a choice, it doesn't work out, we're gonna face accountability. But if your parents are making a decision for you, you don't feel that accountability until we hit real life. Yeah. And then the consequence comes. You're like, what's this?
Like, that's true. It's like I'm only doing this because my parents said.
But this is what happened.
Yeah, the accountability part, and like I think that's one thing I've learned for myself is like, in order for like even if we make a bad choice, we have to be accountable for that choice, because it's like you're not gonna come to terms with it until you actually say like, I messed up. I know I did this. And then acknowledging like I can't change it because it's already done. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of things. I think that's one thing that we I think as a society as a whole is that, especially now, like we don't really take into account the things that we have done to affect the consequence of everything else. Yeah. We just think like, oh, so and so didn't do their part. Yeah. Because if they had done their part, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. And then they wouldn't have done it. But it's just like, well, you can't. Yeah. Can't mess with what they chose. You only can mess with what you chose. Yeah. So, I've come to like the understanding like, I have a lot of, I can choose how to do things in my role. Yeah. In my lane. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If a car comes in my lane, it's my choice what to do in it. Yeah. So that's what I've learned in like when it comes to like finding who you are and like experiencing things and like doing things like that. I've learned that it's good to remember the things your parents taught, but it's also good to like find out why they're like, why did they tell you this? I think that's another important thing for me to do, is just to figure out like, my parents had good intentions telling me this. Why did they tell you this? Because this is gonna happen if you don't. So it's kind of like that. I think about it and I was like, dang, it's hard being a parent thinking about like things like that.
Do you feel like that's why a lot of because like you said, you grew up in a strict household, like a lot of Polynesians do. Yeah. Do you feel like that's why a lot of Polynesians find it hard to go outside their comfort zone, because everything's being their parents is taking the responsibility to do everything for them? Do you feel like that's why sometimes we're as a culture we're more reserved, you go outside and do something new, because that's how we grew up as children? Yeah, because I think another thing too is because in the culture, it's listening to your elders is another thing too. It's like if you don't listen to your elders, you're seen as a bad kid. And just like
you're seen as this person who's like, oh, so and so didn't listen to their parents, that's why they ended up like that.
Yeah,
just like,
you hear that all the time.
And like, you don't want to make your parents look bad, and you don't want to make him like think, so you just automatically just choose what it's like, what your parents is like.
You don't want to be the example.
You don't want to be.
Don't want to be like. Don't be like Oli.
You never want to be the bad example, because like.
The family reunion. Don't be like.
Or your mom openly and just like, this is why you're like this. But I think, I don't know, I feel like a lot of like Polynesians too, they're trying to break out of that mold, and they're finding it hard because like they find that the parents are like, there's like, one thing I've noticed about Polynesians is we're stubborn people.
Oh yeah.
Hella stubborn.
Big
So
time.
like, if like, I actually lost my train of thought, to be honest.
Stubborn.
Yeah, like we're stubborn people, but I think when we've lived in, I think it's a clash between American culture and like our Polynesian cultures, because it's like we want to feel like we're following, we want to be the good daughter, we want to be the good son by following everything our parents say, but at the same time we want to be like free to choose what we want to do.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
And like, it's kind of like a hard clash between them, and that's like,
it's like, I feel like what you're saying, like, we want to please our parents, but at the same time we want to please ourselves and live our life.
yeah.
And we have to, and that's really, really hard.
Yeah, it's like the fork in the road, just like,
especially if what you want is in conflict with
what your parents want, and
yeah.
it's like, I remember one time when I was younger, there's a college program in the area where like you could take college classes, get college credit while you're a high school student. I did not want to do that.
Yeah.
I like I did not want to do that. My mom forced me to go to the interview, and I remember in the interview I start crying. I start crying, and then I remember the lady that was interviewing me was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I'm like crying, and I'm like, "Oh." And then you know, like Polynesian mothers, you could feel their wrath before it actually comes to anything.
Oh, she was there?
My mom was right next to me.
Oh.
And like, my mom wanted me to go because my brother and my sister did it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do anything like them.
Yeah.
When I go there, they're just going to think of me as like, oh, that's Sherry's sister. Oh, that's
Yeah.
Sekope's sister. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm my own individual person.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. And like, I remember leaving the interview.
You felt that wrath?
I felt the wrath, and I saw it because my mom almost left me at the college campus. And when I got home, it was just like she was screaming. Everyone was just like, why did you want to do that? You're just messing up your future. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I was in trouble for like weeks after that because I wanted to do my own thing, but at the same time, my mom wanted me to do this college course because it's like it was gonna help me in the future.
Yeah.
I don't regret it, but
Yeah.
I don't regret not saying it like that. But it's just like it was hard on me because I in a way disappointed my mom. She got over it, but every once in a while she brings it up. She's like, "Remember when you didn't want this?" Like, dang, mom, I just got over it.
Oh, that was like 5 years ago.
that was actually over 10 years ago. So I'm like, Mom, that was like 10 years ago. I was like, so you could have already gotten some college credit, and you could have already finished your degree. And I'm like, it's okay, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm finding who I am. I'm trying to be happy. And she's like, yeah, whatever. But it's like that. It's like you want to be the good parent, but you want to be the good kid, but at the same time you don't want to like disappoint them. But I think in order for us to grow, that there will be disappointments, because I don't think everyone will follow everything your parents say, like go through with everything that they want. And like I think that's one hard thing with parents too, is like they have to come to terms with that. Like, okay, my kid didn't become a doctor, but at least they got a good job.
Yeah. But I think that's how you are able to find who you are, is getting those disappointments, because you realize, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And now that directs you to things that you do like.
Yeah.
And you have to go through that process. And also, I think like Polynesian parents, I think just hearing your testimony, and then especially the people I know also, like, you know, they just want the best for us, because they grew up in hard times. So, but as for us, like, we didn't grow up in the islands, so it's not as we don't have to.
We don't have to work as hard as.
Exactly. We can still work hard for what we want, but we're not at the point where do or die.
Yeah.
Well, like if I don't go to college, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like we have so many opportunities, but they're just like you said. But that's just sometimes. But our parents just want the best for us, and they're gonna push us for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it, like here, like living here in the U.S. is like college is not the only option. Yeah. I think someone across the bay said that
it's not
higher education is not limited to four walls of a 4-year university. There's also there's programs where you can get certificates.
Yeah.
There's also specialized school you can go to. To there's all these opportunities out here, and I think at the time my parents only knew college equals good work.
Well, especially in third world countries, right? They're in their mind, in their world, college is the only way.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to make it in Tonga is to have a degree. But in America, this is a land of opportunity. You don't need a degree to be successful. There's so many opportunities that without a degree. What do you call it? The specialized skill training schools, trade schools. I think I saw a survey. It was 80%, 85% of people that graduate college go into a career that's not their.
Yeah, that's.
That's not their.
That's not their specialized schooling.
That's not their
degree.
Yeah, just a degree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because in Fiji, the reason why my mom became a police officer was because she needed to get a job quick to take care of her brothers, because she was the primary person taking care of her 3 siblings, and so she needed to find a job that will allow her to do that. So she went into the police academy, and that was it. And she didn't want us to do that. She wanted us to get a job where we're comfortable. We don't have to struggle too much, and it is true. Sometimes you do have to find some of the higher paying jobs do require a degree.
Yeah,
but
you can still make it.
You can still make it.
Yeah.
I feel in the Bay Area, the most important thing is experience. Cause
so many of these tech companies are not requiring degrees no more.
Oh dang, for real?
Yeah, like Tesla, you don't need a degree to get hired by Tesla. Facebook did it. Google did it.
Okay.
Because they realized what I read online, that they realized a lot of these kids that are going to school have no real life experience. So they know a lot of knowledge, but they don't know
they don't have
critical thinking. They don't have critical thinking. They don't know how to adjust to problems because they don't get taught that. They're trying to take somebody that's been actively working, have a special skill, and then they've been in the real world and they have that experience, so they're more likely to be able to. Yes, that's cool.
Yeah.
So now I see that a lot of Polynesians.
Yeah. And I was thinking, just going back to finding myself in high school, I don't think I found myself in high school. Yeah. I found it afterwards.
Who did you think you were in high school? What was your identity in high school that you thought you were?
I don't think I had one. I think about my high school. I think about this girl who was trying to fit in places that she didn't. I knew I didn't fit in there, but I was trying to force myself into it.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to. Yeah, I experimented a lot of things. It helped me grow and stuff, but I don't think I had a particular identity.
Yeah.
I wasn't very. I knew I wanted to hang out with the Polynesians. In high school they had a spot called a KP spot, the Kaipo spot. But my parents told me not to hang out with because because they're those kids are bad. They're just bad examples. Blah 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 blah. And I was and then I did that because I didn't hang out with them mostly because trying to be the good daughter.
Yeah.
But I think if I were to think about it, think of my identity as in high school, I don't think I could place it because I was in the marching band.
Yeah.
I was in jazz band. I didn't really have a specific clique. I used to just float around it.
Floater, you're a floater.
I was a floater because I was like, I had friends. I had Hispanic friends. I was like, I was friends with Polynesians, and then I had my own friends. I was friends with the band geeks, and it's okay. Like, I think if there's anything, like, it's okay if you don't know who you are in high school, because like,
it's a journey.
It's just a journey, and just like it's a little blip in your whole life.
Yeah.
And it's not really gonna make you. Like, I think about my high school experience, and I'm like thinking about. I was like, dang, I really thought I was that, but I don't think I was.
No, I mean my personal experience. Like, when I look back at my high school, all the popular kids now not so popular.
No, they're not.
And all the kids that nobody even gave attention to.
Yeah.
Now I see them like flourishing.
Yeah. Like
flourishing in life, like they found out, like they glow.
Yeah. And I don't know. I watch a lot of movies, but like I do see that there are people who do revel in their like high school glory and stuff like that. But it's like
back in my day, I was
like, don't focus too much on your high school career, because it's like it's just gonna be like 4 years of your life.
That's their highlight of their life.
Yeah.
What they did in high school.
But I can honestly say like high school is just gonna be a memory.
Yeah.
And like
it's part of the process.
It's part of the process, and if you grow and like glow up in it, good for you.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you don't know who you are in high school, it's okay too, because it's like you still got 50, 60 years of your life to like live.
I think what hurts the people that were popular in high school, once they leave high school, they realize they're not so popular.
It is.
It's a big world out there. Yeah. You were just a fish in a small pond.
Yeah. I think the only good thing that I was I think I do know. I was the nice girl.
Oh, the nice girl.
I was the nice girl. I was nice to a lot of people, because like you get to know a lot more people, and like being kind to people. I think that's the most important thing, because you don't really know what they're going through.
Yeah. So. That's all good. It's all good. So after high school, did you go straight into your mission?
No, I actually. So I had a plan for my life. When I was 18, I thought, because at the time, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the women could go on their mission when they were 21. At the time I got out of high school.
Yeah. Now it's
it's 19 now. Okay. But at 21, so I had this whole plan. I was like, I wanted to be a nurse. Mm-hmm. So I had this plan. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to, I was gonna go to community college, finish my general education, and then I was gonna do 1 year at like SF State, because SF State's really good for like nursing students and stuff like that. I was gonna do 1 year in SF State, and by then I'll be 21 and I'll put in my papers. I'll take a break in my schooling, go on my mission, come back, and then I'll just continue and finish off my nursing degree. But when I was 19, the church came out with the age change, and that changed my whole plan around, because I was like, that thought was like, dang, I'm 19, I can go serve a mission. I was like, what is it going to mean for my whole life? And like, it took me a year to figure out, like, actually it took me like a couple months to figure out wanting to go on a mission, and it took about a year for my paperwork to get sent in, because there was some things that I needed to do. But coming back from my mission, like, everything changed. Like, I think I'll get into that later.
How was going into the mission?
Going into the mission?
I can only imagine
preparing for it.
I can only imagine that was a big shocker for you, because you grew up with your parents in a strict household.
Yeah, I'm actually a convert to the church. Like because I knew I always wanted to serve a mission, and like when I put in my paper.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, I got called to so I put in my papers. I got called to the Tennessee Natural Mission. Mm-hmm. So just to get this through, I went on the missions because I wanted to. Girls are not really required to go to. Yeah. But I prayed about it, and I thought, and like I got the feeling that I needed to go.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
So I think.
Do you feel like sometimes a lot of people go because they don't want to go, but because everybody wants them to go?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree that some people when you go on your mission, that's what their thing is. Cause like, oh, cause my parents expect me to go. Yeah. And I'm only going because I'm trying to be good, or like I'm trying to uphold an image and stuff like that. And in a way, it's bad. Yeah. Because from experience, I've met missionaries like while I was serving my mission that you could tell that they're just there. Yeah. Just because they're either following what everyone else is doing, or their parents were pushing them to do it, and like you could tell the way that they work, and it's like
they don't want to be there.
They don't, and they're just going with the emotion, and they're just like they're just doing it just because. And
there's no passion towards it.
There's no passion, like they do good work. Like they do good work, but you could tell their intentions are not really pure. Yeah. I don't know. That's my experience. Like other people might have other stuff, but like that from my experience, like I had a companion who told me, she's like, I knew I should have waited. I knew, but I only put it in because everyone else was putting it in. Yeah. And I was like, dang, what are you doing? You're almost a year into your mission. And I was like, and in my mind I was like, what are we gonna do? Because like you could tell she's slacking off a little bit. Yeah. But there are people who do that, and like you could tell when you come up, you could tell by, I don't want to say this to be like controversial or anything like that, but like you could see when you come back home. Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah. Like what do you mean?
I don't know how to explain it.
It's like they find it hard to readjust. Is that what you mean?
No, like. How do I say it? I really don't know. Like, I really don't know how to explain, to be honest. Like, you could...
Like, what do you mean? What do you see?
What do I see?
That kind of, like, makes you feel
I think it's just the way they explain their mission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how they explain, like, how they did their mission.
Their testimony didn't grow over time?
No, I mean, like, their testimonies grow. Like, I have a definite, like, testimony, like, everyone's testimony. If you go on a mission, your testimony definitely is gonna grow. No lie. Yeah. But it's just like
when you come after
their attitude towards their mission.
Oh, got you.
Like there's, I don't know. There's experiences here and there. Like everyone's experience is different, and like, but.
Do you feel like, maybe this, because I think I've heard this from a friend. Mm-hmm. When you go on a mission. When you go on a mission because you want to, it brings you closer. Mm-hmm. When you go on a mission and you don't want to, it pushes you apart. That makes sense. That's the worst. My friend's like, when you want to serve, you actually coming closer to your faith and to church. But then when you're forced to go, you have kind of like a resentment or like. You're not as like you come back and like you feel like the 2 years they didn't do anything, or 1 year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I had a companion. So one of my companions actually left the church, but she was the type to like.
Oh, she came back and left.
Yeah, she came back. She was in the church for like 1.5 years or something. After that, she just left. Like she hasn't gone to church. She's like.
Oh, okay. So is that what you mean as far as?
Yeah, it's like.
They distance themselves.
They distance themselves
when they get back.
Well, it's kind of hard to say because like everyone's just different. Yeah. But like for me, I feel like I don't know. It's a very controversial topic. It's just like I don't know. I could feel it. Like you could feel like I was like, oh, okay, this person had a good mission. Like, but like they're not really like I can't really like I said I can't put it to words. It's just like it's a feeling like. You see it, you hear it, you feel it, and it's just like, it's like, okay, like, let me think about it. I'm just like,
yeah, it's on. Pause right there. Nope.
I think when I think of my mission, the one thing that pops out in my head is like, I think I was 3 months in, and like, I could hear my mom's voice in my head, and just like. Don't do this, and I realized it came out of it, and I was just like, I don't have to follow what my mom is saying because she's not here to watch me do it. And like, I don't know. I think that was PTSD, but I don't want to call it that.
Yeah.
But I think preparing to go on a mission is so important because I would say go when you're prepared. Don't go because everyone else is going.
Yeah.
Or don't go because someone's forcing you to go. Because the best type of missionaries are those that are prepared to be out there. Mm-hmm. And that's like basically anything in life. It's just like the best type of people to do a certain job is the preparation that goes into it. Yeah. And like, I feel like I was thrown into it because I got my mission call January and I was leaving February.
Oh wow.
So it was just like I was preparing before. Like I said, it took me a year before to like get my paperwork and stuff again. So I was preparing, but within that like 6 weeks that I had to prepare, I was just like, I had to do everything quickly, and like I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be, but
you can never be fully prepared.
Honestly, you're never fully prepared to go on your mission because like your mission is different. And I always tell people like the person I was before my mission, the person I was after are two different people.
Yeah.
Like that's how much my mission's changed me because it's taught me that like, okay, you do have a voice. You're okay. Like you do have a voice. You can share it. You've learned about accountability. You've learned that it's okay to be bold. Because can't really do that. Can't really learn to be bold in a Polynesian household because if once you're bold, like you get slapped in the side of the face. Yeah. But I think that's like a mission changes you if you want to change, if you want it to.
Yeah.
And like
I think that's powerful. You change if you want to change.
Yeah, and like that's true about anything because like you can't really. It's like leading a horse to water. You
can't force them.
You can't force them to drink it.
Yeah.
That's basically the same thing with going to a mission.
Yeah.
Everything in life.
Yeah.
It's like you can't. Like people will force you to go, but you won't change unless you want it.
Yeah.
Want it to change you.
Yeah.
And it's different working with like other people who grew up in different places. Because it's like.
Where'd you go on missions? Where'd you serve a mission?
I served in Nashville, Tennessee.
Ooh, country state.
Yeah, it's the country music capital of the world.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
It's interesting. Honestly, when I went on a mission, I got a. I remember going into the MTC because MTC is in Provo. I went in and I went to this big gymnasium and like I got shell shock, culture shock because like all these people were white and I was and like I was like, oh shoot, that's hella scary.
Yeah.
Because you grow up in the Bay Area, you grow up with like different diversity and like you see different people like and honestly I feel like white people are somewhat minority here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Especially in the areas that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And so going into like that situation was just like I was like, what the.
Yeah.
And like working with different people and like living with people outside of your own family, you start to see like how your family's upbringing is going to be working in your life. Because I had companions who thought some of the things I did were weird.
Yeah. Like what?
Taking 2 showers a day.
The Nashville mission must be nice.
It's hot over there. I think one time I took like 3 showers, like 3 showers a day because it's like hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
Humid.
It's humid out there. Yeah.
And like, I remember, I had a companion. I had a friend that was from New Zealand. Like I was listening to the sisters. They were like, "Oh, it's weird that she takes like 2 showers a day," and like I was like, don't you take 2 showers a day? And then I realized like some take like 1 shower every 2 days. So I'm like,
the balangis?
Yeah, balangis. Like,
we can go through it. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had white friends, but when I learned what my white friends do, I'm like, But that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic.
we
and like I think another thing too is like washing my hair, because my hair is very coarse and dry.
Yeah.
Like I wash it every like 1 to 2 weeks just to keep everything there. But they're like, you don't wash your hair a lot, like every time you shower. Like, no, it's gonna dry out my hair if I do it every shower. And they're like, oh, you should try something. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. You have straight hair. I have curly, coarse hair that's gonna be like brittle. That's gonna be brittle if I do something like that. I'm like, so like grooming habits. That was one. I came into my mission already knowing how to cook things. My trainer said she's expecting this girl that didn't know how to cook anything, but I was just like, I came in already knowing how to make a full course meal, because growing up,
you take care of yourself.
You take care of yourself. You take care of the family. Like by the time I went on my mission, I already knew how to make enough food to feed like 40 people. Yeah. So just that's a normal thing.
That's a decent small size family.
Yeah. And then I think the struggle for me was cooking for myself, because I was like, you know how to make all these food, but it's like your companions don't even eat anything. It's just like, oh shoot, I made too much food this time. But it was just like grooming habits, eating habits, also like there were other things, and like culturally speaking, like our mannerisms and our like how we grow up and stuff like that are different from how we handle situations. Like I had a companion tell me like, you're not very emotional and like you don't express your emotions a lot. I'm like, I thought I do. Like I tell it right when I'm feeling it, and then I let it go because it's not affecting me right now. And she's like, you don't show how happy you are, you don't show how excited you are. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that, and like, I don't know, it was a whole thing, because it's like, because it's true in the Polynesian Islands, like in the Pacific Islands, you don't grow up to like show emotion at all.
Yeah,
and, like,
because like,
I mean, you do show emotion, like you're happy, your thing, but like
we don't dwell in it.
We don't
get depressed.
Quote unquote, but like.
And we do, but it's like it's really.
We do get, but
we don't dwell in it for like weeks or some months or some people.
Yeah.
Because we have such a strong family network, and plus our faith goes into it.
Yeah.
Look, it's God will take care of us.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, but the one thing I'm glad about my mission is like that emotional, like that emotional sensitivity.
Yeah.
Because like you're more sensitive to like, okay, this other people, and like you also try to like you start to recognize like, oh, this is why I get happy. Like I'm just like, how do I explain it?
Like developing emotional intelligence.
There we go. Yeah. Developing emotional intelligence, because like
to read people, be aware of people's feelings.
Yeah, you read how to read people, aware of other people's emotions and stuff like that. But also recognizing it within yourself. Yeah. Because I feel like we recognize, for me and my family, like it's easy for us to recognize like, oh, this is making them uncomfortable, so let me change how I'm saying things because this is how they're uncomfortable. Or like, oh, this person looks sad, and like,
I think the Polynesian culture, we put other people's feelings first before ours. Yeah. And that's how we're taught, right? So, we really have time to reflect and internalize our own what we feel. Yeah. Because we're more concerned about what other people feel. Yeah. Because that's just our way of just loving and helping and giving. So we don't take our time to like, hey, how am I feeling today? Yeah. We don't talk about our own thoughts, because we're more concerned about
what they're thinking.
Helping the people we love.
Yeah. And I realized this the other day too, because like, whenever people come over to our house, we make ourselves uncomfortable
to make them comfortable
in our own house to make them comfortable, and then just like.
So we put our feelings aside.
And then make sure it's like, oh.
I can listen.
So it's just like, I think we're emotionally like flexible, but yet we don't recognize that.
We lack the intelligence to recognize our own emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Like we lack the. intelligence to recognize within ourselves, like how we feel, and like I think that's why in the Polynesian community is like that's why depression is so prevalent, because we recognize like, oh, we're feeling sad. It's like, oh, it's okay. You just brush it off.
Or a lot of people are sad, but they don't recognize they're sad.
Yeah.
You know, they cover it up. They just go, I'm just going through something. But actually, you are. Like you are hurt.
There's something wrong with you.
Go to the hospital. You see, I'll have a family. Like, dude, I think you need to see a therapist. I think you need some drugs, bro.
and that's another thing too, because like in the Polynesian community, like we're such a happy people, and I think we try and post up that thing, and like we make fun of like when it is serious and someone does come.
We make light of it.
We make light of it just to like brush it away, because it makes us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because we're
not comfortable dealing with our own feelings.
Yeah.
That's not something we're used to.
Yeah, it's nothing we're not. It's something we're never used to. Because like
how we're raised and grew.
Just because we grew up in a family situation where like we have to think about the family. Like like we have to think about the family. The family comes first.
And then what our parents say goes.
Yeah. And what our parents say goes, and like that's where that like emotional intelligence come in.
Yeah.
Like it becomes second. It becomes like third in the things to.
Yeah. Because when you go to real life, remove family, remove parents, you're there by yourself.
Yeah, and then you recognize it. It's just like, dang, I am messed up.
Something's wrong with me.
Something is wrong with me. It's like it was just because I was sad and like.
That's why I don't have friends.
For real, like. I wish though, like when I was younger, I do wish I had that that intelligence to like.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just like, I was like, oh, I'm just sad.
Yeah.
I think I'm just like, I remember when I was younger, like, there were times where I'd cry myself to sleep.
Yeah.
I didn't know why.
Yeah, because you can't recognize it.
I can't recognize it. I just cried myself to sleep, and I was just like.
Wake up the next day
and like, put a happy face and like, I'm fine. I'm fine.
But it's still there.
It's still there, and like, at night when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Like, and like, that's not normal. You're like.
Yeah, that is not normal.
That's not normal. You're not supposed to cry yourself to sleep.
Exactly.
And like.
Somebody hears it. Shut up.
It's like, it's funny because I slept in the same room with my sister, so I'm just like, I cry myself silently to. Well,
I can just picture it.
So it's like, and plus you don't want to like. You don't want to tell your parents because like also you don't want them to make fun of you.
Yeah.
Or you don't.
That's usually what we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually keep things to ourselves because like we don't want other people to make fun of us, and like, and then I think that's why people like why we keep a lot of things to ourselves as Pawnees, just because like that humor factor in it. It's just like it was like, what the hell?
I know. Yeah, like I said, we don't really have we don't never have time to like talk about it. It is what it is. Yeah.
And no one takes it seriously.
No one takes it seriously.
And like I think
because I think Monica from the last interview talked about it. Especially the elders, right?
Yeah.
To them, hurt means physical.
Yeah.
They don't understand
If
emotional
you don't
hurt.
see it.
If you don't see it, you're not hurt.
Yeah.
So like, why are you crying? I don't see anything wrong with you.
Yeah.
Because in the islands, the way they grew up, it's just physical pain.
Yeah.
There's no like, because when they're struggling so much that they're trying to overcome their struggle, they don't have time to worry about their feelings.
And I feel like it's so like you see now like a lot of Pawnees coming up with like mental health and stuff like that because people are actually talking about it.
Yeah.
It didn't mean it didn't happen before. It's just they didn't want to say anything because like they didn't want to get persecuted or just like put down because of what they're feeling. And like that emotional intelligence I learned it on my mission because it's like I had a companion thing like I was telling her some things and she's like, you're not supposed to be feeling that. Yeah. And I was just like I was like, really? But I learned that emotional intelligence and like coming back, it's kind of hard to like blend it into like how like my family is because my family's still the same.
Yeah.
Like, but I've noticed now like there are some things like my mom does recognize like depression is real. yeah, people do need to be heard and stuff like that. And so, like, it's small changes like that, but I don't think I would have recognized it if I didn't go on my mission. Cause,
yeah.
like,
it gives you some time by yourself.
Yeah, it was by myself. I was, like, over 1,000 miles away from my own family, and I had to deal with, like,
things on your own. Yeah.
Things on my own, and, like, everything, like, I feel like sometimes Polynesians do need to do that, go live by themselves for a little bit, because it's like, you got to, because, like, it brings back all that, like, all that your parents taught you, and then it comes into this, like, you have to start thinking about, like, okay, how can I put what my parents learned with the things that I've learned myself.
Yeah, it teaches you accountability to live your own life.
Yeah.
No, wait for people to come fix your problems.
Yeah.
No, you gotta cry yourself to sleep and get back.
Yeah, it's just like, and like, there's other options too. Just like,
yeah.
If you can't figure out a way to do something, you're gonna have to learn a different way.
Yeah.
And like the way your parents did things is not gonna be how you're doing.
Okay.
So it's like all those things I learned on my mission. Yeah. But sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish it first.
No, I was like, but yeah, I was gonna say there's other things too, but it's like there's a ton. Like I love my mission.
Yeah.
Like I've learned, like surprisingly, I've learned about marriage on my mission too.
Yeah.
Cause like, yeah, cause I had a lady, her and her husband, like, they got married young, and then early on in the marriage they didn't spend any time together.
Yeah.
And because they didn't spend that crucial time together building their marriage, like by the time I got there, they were like 70 years old. They were always arguing and always thinking. And I learned their stories. Like, yeah, he worked and I worked and our schedules clashed and we didn't really have time to like sit down and talk and stuff like that. That's where it went apart. I'm like, I gotta do that. I have to make time.
You get to make time, yeah.
Gotta make time for important things. So, like little things like that I learned. But
oh yeah. What was the greatest thing? What was the best thing about your mission that you learned in your mission that helped you? That felt like that was a big change that you, when you, like we said earlier, that when you came after your mission, you're a different person. So what was something that you learned in your mission that you felt like made you into a different person when you came back?
I think I found out who I was.
Yeah.
Like I said, because in high school I didn't know who I was.
You were trying to find your identity.
I was trying to find out my identity, and then even after high school, like I just went along with the flow.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I realized like my life has to have purpose. Like.
That's okay.
Yeah, and like I think that's finding out who I am was
that's
first.
Powerful too. That's powerful.
First is like finding your purpose, because on your mission you have a purpose to go preach the gospel and do stuff. But when you come back, you have to find that purpose.
Yeah.
And I learned one of the greatest things was like your life has to have a purpose, because if you don't have a purpose, you're not gonna be really working towards anything.
Yeah, you'll just be like stagnant.
Yeah, you're gonna be stagnant. I mean, I'm kind of a hypocrite right now in my own words, because like, no, I'm not.
No.
I have a purpose. I want to go, like, I have a goal of like going to college, and like I'm trying to fulfill that, and I'm trying to do certain things. But before my mission, I didn't really have one. And
at least you have an idea. I
have an idea of what I want, but I think I need to like condense it a little bit more, because it's really broad, my purpose right now.
No, I think that's powerful, because like everything in life has a purpose.
Yeah.
Everything in life, God created everything in life, and I feel like sometimes our Polynesian kids, they struggle because they haven't found their purpose, and of course we don't really talk about that in our household,
Yeah, and like, well.
Good pause.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so talk about purpose.
Yeah, and like I think with like when, like thinking to my parents, like when they first came to the country, their purpose was for their kids to have a higher living, and like even like that has a purpose. But me as an individual before my mission, like I was
you had no purpose.
I had no purpose. I had a goal, but I don't think that was a purpose. That was purposeful enough for me to do things. I
think one of my favorite quotes is by Tony Robbins. He said, "There's no lazy people, just people without purpose."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's everything, because now I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, yeah, even like the plants on the ground and stuff, they have a purpose.
Yeah, everything has a purpose.
And like coming out of my mission is just like, okay, I need to have a purpose. I need to have goals to reach that purpose, and then I need to have plans for those goals to reach that purpose.
Yeah.
And so like that's the one thing that my mission taught me is like you need to have a big picture. You need to
have structure
and have structure into it.
Because as a missionary, everything's structured, right?
Everything's structured.
You have daily tasks, daily activities, reading,
and like we had to plan everything, and like every hour had to have a purpose.
So I could definitely see how that translated over.
And so like that was one of the things that like made the big change for me. Another thing too is like it's okay to be bold.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna get anything if you're not bold, especially here in America. Because like here in America, like
what's that say? Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah. Closed mouths don't get fed. What is it? The early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So like you have to be bold enough to like go out and seek for things that you need. Yeah, I think that was like the two main things, because like I didn't really have a lot of self-confidence also when I was younger, like, and like now that I'm older I realized like a lot of my self-confidence was built on what other people were thinking. And like
you're looking for validation.
I'm seeking validation from this person or this person, but in actuality they're not really gonna give it to you. Because like even in high school, like even they
like you said, most of the friends you were surface level friends
that didn't really
they're just
like
there,
added value,
but they're not gonna be really there for you.
And so like I realized like my self-confidence comes within. Like you have to recognize just like, I'm a great person. Like
facts.
I think like one struggle I had on my mission was prayers, because like I remember seeing my like I grew up in a different religion where like women were really allowed to pray. So I didn't really have any like women influence of how to pray and stuff like that. And then I remember going on my mission and listening to all my companions, and I'm like thinking like, wow, they're giving such great prayers, and like they're using such big words, they're being so eloquent and so graceful in their prayers, and I'm like, please Lord, thank you.
I know that feeling.
But
I'm like, damn bro, take it easy with the prayers.
I was like, whoa, big words.
Okay. Okay, being boastful while you're praying.
But the one thing I learned was like I was like, I think I was praying. I was doing my own individual prayer, and like I was praying this like, Father, I'm sorry that my prayers are not good enough, and like it's not as good as sister so and so. But then I had this feeling, it's like your prayers are enough. Like your prayers are so beautiful. Like you don't even know. And I'm like really? I'm like, for real? And I'm just like, and
it's fine. Cry yourself to sleep right now.
It's just like, just go ahead. but it's just like, it's that thought was just like, it's enough. The whole purpose of prayer is to talk to Heavenly Father, and that's what you're doing. And like,
but I find it crazy, like you like. Your self-esteem has got to a point where you're even questioning your own prayers. Like prayer. Out of all the things in the world.
Of all things in the world, but like that's where.
That's where I said that puts perspective where you were as far as that was like none. You're
and
questioning
like
prayers.
And like you think it like that thought too is like you're enough. Like your prayers are enough. It translated over. It's like you're enough. Like you're doing what you're doing is enough for me to, like you're doing more than you think you are doing. And like but yeah, my self-confidence, like before my mission I didn't really have it, but like when it came out of mission it was way higher. It's like it was here before, like it was right here. Like I still struggle now here and there.
It's still because we're human.
Because imagine I had 20 years of like self-confidence issues that
it's not gonna happen overnight.
It's never gonna happen overnight. Like there's still things that are gonna come back and just haunt you, and be like, dang.
I know.
Like, and like some things are so stupid. I'm just like
it's just why it's crazy when you grow. Like you look back at your old self, like, what the hell was I?
You were crying because you didn't look like her.
I know.
But yeah, and like, I don't know. I think if there's one thing I want to like share is just like, your self-confidence isn't dependent on what other people think. Yeah. It's dependent on what you think of yourself. And
I feel like especially if you're a female, especially in our society, right?
Yeah.
I feel like females, it's a little bit more pressure, expectation, more than the males. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's how it's very. I'm glad you found your self-confidence. Though.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle here and there.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because like I think about like high school and like how I would have handled it differently if I had the same confidence I have now. Yeah. And I'm like, dang, I would have been the girl. Like everyone would have been over.
You would have had your own clique.
I would have been okay with it. Like instead of been wandering around, I was just like, I'd be okay with just going to the library by myself. Yeah. Like instead of just like, oh, I look weird.
That's true. Yeah. That's like it. So how was so you went in your mission? How was coming back and readjusting back to real life? How was that for you?
So it was. I would say it was alright.
Yeah.
Cause, on my mission, before my mission, like I already, because my brother and my sister already served their missions before me, so I already knew what to expect when I come back, and like so I didn't have that expectation of just like when some missionaries go on their mission, they come back and they expect their family to have changed overnight and just like wow, they changed with me. But I'm like, I came back, I was like, my family's my family. They're gonna be who they are. So I came back, like it was alright. It was good too because I had the support of my siblings there. The hard thing for me was finding a job because before my mission, I didn't work. I didn't. And that was just because my parents wanted me to go to school and like.
Plus, like you said that you had no purpose.
Yeah, I had no purpose. Yeah. And so I remember I came back from a mission and I was just like, I stayed home for like 2 weeks and I'm like, I can't do this. I need to
go out.
I need to go out, get a job, do something. And so I spent 3 months looking for a job, and it's harder to get a job when you have no experience at all. Like I've had under the table jobs, stuff like that, but they weren't enough to get like.
Yeah, you wanted a career.
I wanted a career. Yeah. I wanted to do something like get real girl money. Make grown up monies. But so when I came back from a mission, I put into work the things that I learned. Like I had a goal. So the thing was I tried to look for a job for myself for like a month, and I realized I didn't include Heavenly Father in my plans, and so I was like, okay, Oli. So in order to include Heavenly Father in your plans, you have to have a goal before you include Him in it. So I was like, okay, I want to have a job before November 4th or something like that. And I was like, okay, November 4th, and I prayed, and I was like, Father, help me find a job before November 4th, but just help me find jobs to get interviewed for. I'll do everything else. And it came. Like, I got interviewed for a couple of jobs, but they didn't call back. But I started working Target. I worked there as a seasonal worker.
Target.
I hated it. I hated it, but at the same time I was doing Pathway. I was in the Pathway program, so I thought, so the reason why it took me a couple weeks to figure out what to do is because I thought Pathway was going to take up all my time, but it didn't. It only took up like 2 hours of my day. That was it. But I worked at Target and I hated it. And the cool thing was when I was in Pathway, there was a girl there that worked for a temp agency, and I was telling her, I was like, dang, I really hate my job. Like they keep moving me from department to department without really training me. The one thing with Target too is they try and give you the red cards, the credit card specifically for Target. They have each of the cashiers have a quota to meet. And I hated it because they're pushing it, and it was something I didn't believe because what they do is they run your credit. And I worked in San Leandro, the San Leandro Target over there, and a lot of low income people come in through there, and I didn't believe it was right for me to ask them do you want a red card, and knowing that they probably won't be able to be eligible for it.
Yeah.
But the thing they found was that as long as you ask it and they run their credit, that's a point towards you.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
My moral standing was just like, I know these people can't even afford this. Like, they even taught me how to, like, sense how people are stealing things. And I was like, what the? You're... Sense? Yeah, because, like, if you look, there's a part of the grocery cart, like, where the little basket is, the little basket in the front. There's a little thing in the middle over there. People hide stuff there. And, like, you don't catch it while you're being cashier, but they said, like, make sure you look over there, because people hide stuff, like, it falls off to the side, or they try and hide it there, so they don't catch it. I was like, dang, you're teaching me to see people stealing it. You want me to ask them if they want a red card? Like, my moral standing was like, what the heck, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I hated it, but then I didn't do good as a cashier. They sent me to the back. And I was packaging stuff as a cashier. And I was telling one of my classmates, like, yeah, I really hate it. And then they were like, you know, we actually, like, and then like a week or so later, it's like, we actually have an opening for a job in San Mateo at the Samtrans, the bus company.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, yeah, the customer service line. And I was like, I think you'll be really good for it, because she was the temp agent.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let me just sign me up. Just tell me what to do. And then went through the whole process. She helped me with my resume, and like, it was good that I had Target.
So you had at least something.
I had some type of customer service experience, because
so it was useful.
It was. Thank you, thank you, Target, for that.
You played your purpose.
So they that experience helped me get the job I'm at. Actually, yeah, the job that I am now, and I really believe it was heaven sent, because like, if I didn't get Target, if I wasn't in Pathway, if I didn't work at Target and I was complaining to my classmate that was like a temp agent, she wouldn't have told me about this job. And like, and so because it was just like a build up, and I was like, wow. So then I started working at Samtrans at the customer service center. So I picked up calls, like, if someone has a complaint about the buses, they call and they're like, talk to me in there.
Oh.
So, and if the people need bus schedules and stuff like that, that's what I used to work at.
Okay.
And then I work now as a receptionist, like, because they had an opening. I was like, okay, slide in, got it. Yeah. So I work there now. And so it's like, I feel like a lot of the jobs in the area, you have to know someone to do.
Oh yeah.
To get into it.
Especially the good jobs.
Especially the good jobs.
Yeah.
As long as you have experience and you know someone, you'll kind of get in a little bit. And so, I think that was the hard part for me. It was just finding a job, and like it happened. Mm-hmm. But I had to, like, what we shared earlier, like, there's no reason you can't find a job.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. If you're looking for it,
if you're looking for it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And then even at Target, like, the only experience I had was my mission. Like, on my resume, I put my mission as a thing, because basically going on a mission is basically customer service work, because you're working with people, you're knocking on doors, you're telling people about the church, and like telling them like, this is things that will bring you blessings, stuff like that. And that itself was experience for me, which got me the job for Target. And so I think if you're building a resume, use every opportunity you have. Just put it in there. Just like, you don't know what a human resource officer would do.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, the Tarzan, yeah.
Tarzan. Yeah. I really like working at the back one though, because like, it was just fun. You had your pace and stuff.
That's good. Mm-hmm. So let's go right into, so you come back. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about relationships. Hey, that's part of the.
That's part of the life right now.
More like life LDS. Yeah. After a mission, when you come back, right? Yeah. So I was talking about relationships, dating, especially. Are you in the YSA or? No?
Yeah, I'm still in the YSA.
Yeah, I'm still.
I go to the one in Oakland at the temple.
Oakland Temple.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your experience with relationships? with especially in the, as in the YSA or just as a Polynesian?
Polynesian.
Yeah.
I've never really had a relationship. Like I haven't had a boyfriend, and I'm okay with it took me a while to be okay with it.
Yeah.
But now I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, in society they tell you it's like, oh, you're supposed to have a boyfriend when you're in high school. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Like one thing I wish I never had in high school, I wish I wasn't boy crazy.
Yeah.
Because I would have done a lot more.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of guys, but it's sad to say, but
yeah.
I'm still single, but I'm just like
yeah.
But I think it's okay that you haven't had any experience with it. I have a friend that she made me realize that. She's like, the way she says, you could tell me I didn't have a boyfriend, but you cannot call me a hoe.
Yeah.
Because so it's just you're basically keeping yourself pure, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Hell yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's
one thing I always share to my younger siblings, right? How early you get into a relationship doesn't matter how young you are. There's no indicator that's gonna last forever.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, let's be young, younger kids, they feel like the earlier they get into it, the more likely they're gonna find somebody that's gonna last forever.
Yeah.
But it's just timing. You have to meet the right person. And I feel like, and of course, I can understand your standpoint as women. The society gives you guys a timeline. Yeah. And that's why so many people are just finding any person they get, but then that's not the right person for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get into this type of relationships.
Yeah. And the one thing I'm happy about my parents is they don't push being in a relationship. What they think they're saying the most important thing. My dad, I had a conversation with my dad one time. He was like, Oli, you don't need to have a boyfriend. Just go to college, make a good life, live a good life. I'm like, dang, Dad, you're trying to make me be single forever. But
you giving up on me already?
What? But that's the one thing with my family. My parents is they've always, and my mom always says you're gonna be stuck with someone. If you want to get married, you're gonna get stuck with someone forever.
Yeah. And
you haven't she's you haven't really experienced life, because I'm stuck with that old man. And it's you're gonna be stuck with him, and you have to keep checking on him. But while you're single, you could go out, live a life, travel if you want, and stuff like that. And she's and she tells me, she's I want you to experience all of that before you settle down.
And I wish every girl would hear that.
Yeah.
That's very powerful.
Yeah, it's hell powerful, but at the same time, dang, I want to get married. But
yeah.
And I'm happy that my parents are like that, because they got married so young.
Yeah. How old were they when they got married?
My mom was, she was 20. No, she hadn't even turned 20. I think she was 19.
Yeah.
She was 19, and my dad was about 24, 25.
Yeah.
That's pretty young. My mom right now, she's 48.
Yeah.
My dad's 53. No, 52.
Yeah.
In his 50s, sorry. Yeah. So they're still young. They're young parents.
Yeah.
And they settled down young, but they had to struggle, and they didn't want us to go through that.
Yeah.
And I'm 27. When my mom was 27, she already had all three of us.
Yeah. So
she's a huge yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, my mom, she's a huge
influence?
Yeah, she's not an influence, she's a huge she encourages.
Oh, she's a big advocator.
Yeah, she's a big advocate for living your life before you get married. So
perfect.
It's
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I really think my mom just says that so we can be around more often. But
I hear that. No, it's funny you say that. I hear that from a lot of couples that got married early, and that's one of the things I hear from a lot of couples. Is that married early is I never got to experience their own achieving their own goals, their own dreams. They had to put that to the side for their marriage, and for some couples I know that ended up hurting, breaking them apart, and because they just didn't, they didn't know how to deal with that. Yeah. But your parents were able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But a lot of young couples don't figure that because they feel like I'm missing out on something, and they feel like they're tied down. But that's true,
Yeah, and like my lack of like relationship doesn't mean I have lack of experience. Like I've had like I've had like I've gone on dates.
Yeah.
And like I felt like oh okay, this is okay. This guy's kind of weird. And like there've been guys who've like
blocked.
That's the issue right now, but,
I think my mom's calling. Mom.
Like I don't know. I always have. How people have first-hand experience. I have third-hand experience because like. I don't know why being single, people always think I have a lot of experience. I'm like, no, I just see things as they are.
Yeah.
Like,
you gain a different perspective from the outside.
Yeah, from the
outside. Sometimes
outside.
when you're in a relationship, you're blinded.
Yeah.
With your feelings.
And I told my friends, it's like, I hope the same advice I'm giving you right now, I hope you give that to me when it's my time. Because I'm like, yeah. But like, another thing too, like relationships, I think I have a higher purpose too. Because like when I was younger, I just wanted to be in a relationship just because everyone else is.
How many times I hear that from people? I was like, I want to be in a relationship. Why? Just cuz.
Just cuz.
Everyone's doing it.
I was like, why? Because you're lonely? It was like, yeah. Why not? Like.
And then they end up jumping into like the worst relationship ever, toxic relationship.
And like after my mission, like I want a date to get married.
Yeah.
So it's like the importance of marriage is high. Like I'm just not gonna marry.
Just a date.
I'm not just dating just a date. I mean, like, it's nice to have the experience, but it's still, like...
If it's not leading anywhere.
Yeah. And, like, I think that's, like... I think that's hard for some people to, like, get a grasp on. But I have friends who tell me, like, I see the way you date and, like, the way you take relationships, and that's very, like, commendable because, like, you're not jumping into things just because.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. You didn't think it was weird?
Yeah.
But
do you see that a lot amongst your peers, your friends, at the
dating to just date?
Do you feel like I'm part of the YSA too? So do you feel like a lot of the YSA just date just to date?
In the church. Kinda. Yeah. Sometimes.
Because in the expectation within our church to get married early and so they're just like trying to rush and everything.
Yeah.
You feel like sometimes a lot of people do that?
Yeah. I've had a friend who I feel like she jumped into a marriage just because she just turned 30 and then she started dating someone and then got married.
Yeah.
So I'm just like they're the first person she dated in like 7 years. Married the first person she married. So married the first person she dated in 7 years.
Married the first person she dated in 7 years. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like we all knew that she wanted to get married, but it's just like
how's her marriage not pretty?
I really don't know. Yeah. But it's all hearsay there, so. But it's weird. And I think another thing too that I take into consideration too is like I get worried like, oh man, what if their mom doesn't like me? Like,
oh, gosh.
Or like, what if their family doesn't like me? And like, that's the only thing I worry about.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm like nice enough.
Yeah.
Like if I continue the way I am, because I'm pretty nice to everyone. Yeah. And like if they see that, like that's good enough for them.
Yeah.
Like.
I think you're watching Cinderella too much, right? the mean in-laws.
Honestly, I like romantic comedy movies, but it's just like it sets too high of an expectation for me.
Yeah.
So now I just watch a lot of like true crime and
serial killer movies.
Yeah. That's the real expectation.
the crazy serial killers in the dark. Taking the victims to the back.
I have a heightened sense of like awareness of like, it's like make sure. I'm just kidding, but
What about for missionaries? Is that did you feel like a lot of sometimes missionaries, like when you come back from a mission, you feel like That's like you trying to jump in there as soon as quickly.
Yeah, I feel like no one expected that from me because no one's really bothered me about it. Yeah. But I've seen missionaries that say like, oh, I need to get married like 6 months after I come back from a mission. I'm like, you don't even know that person. Like, and I've had missionaries like some sister missionaries who say like, oh, I know the Lord is gonna provide me someone 9 months after my mission. I'm like, it's like, so you're putting, you're telling God what to do because you're
giving your own timeline.
Yeah, you're giving your own timeline to God, but yeah, that girl, she ended up getting married like 3 years after her mission. Yeah. I've been back 5, but
yeah. Do you feel like sometimes as females, like as you get older, is it harder to do? Because you were able to find that confidence in yourself. Like, yeah. Do you feel like sometimes some girls, like as they get older and older, especially in the West or within the church in general, they feel like that demotivates them from even getting married or getting into relationships?
For like talking from my perspective,
yeah.
Like I've always been okay with my age. Like I don't care about like oh I'm 27, I'm proud of it. Like I don't look 27. I think that's a big proponent of it because I don't look it.
Yeah, because I remember I talked to this one girl, the YSA, and she shared that with me. She was like, yeah, I feel like I think she was like 20, almost getting close to her 30s, and then she was saying, yeah, I feel like I just so much as I'm getting older, I'm kind of losing hope that I could find someone because she feels like she has to have her whole life figured out. Yeah. And then she has to find the right person. The guy has to have as far as the guy has to have this type of job. Yeah. Especially in the Bay Area, like just all these. And then she just felt overwhelmed. Like, do you ever seen people in your experience feel like that, girls, especially as they get older?
Yeah, I see it a lot. Like, even with like my own friend groups, like I have a friend, she worries a lot because she's getting a little older. Yeah. And like she's a year older than me, but like it's like
she feels like her pool of candidates is shrinking.
I really feel like that for me too. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, I think it's because I'm in the YSA. Yeah. Like I didn't realize I had such an issue with my age until someone asked me my age, and he was like, "Oh, okay," and I'm like,
"Oh, that reaction."
I'm like, "Am I too old for you?"
Yeah.
And like, I really do feel like my pool is small, but the thing is, I think I'm in a lake, not the ocean.
Oh, it's like 7 billion people in
I know, like
there's 40 million people in California. There's like 19 million people in North Carolina, Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'll find someone. I have the faith that I will find someone, and like I do worry sometimes. Like I was like, dang, I am getting old. Like. But I'm not old. The thing is, just a number. Age is just a number, but at the same time, I'm like,
you got the face, good.
I know, I'm good.
You got the complexion, the young face, like.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone thinks I'm like 21 or 22.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first met you.
No, I'm 27. I was born 93.
See, so you're good.
I'm good. I feel like I don't know. I feel for me, I'm okay, but at the same time, I do worry sometimes because I was like, dang. And then,
well, I think sometimes we worry because like
there's a time limit.
No time limit. I feel like sometimes we feel like we have to marry within our circle. Because a lot of Polynesian Polynesians, they try to marry within their circle, within their ward, within their branch, or within their like group of friends. But the journey about life is like there's people outside their circle. Yeah. There's a lot of good people outside. Our church, outside the group of friends, but because we grew up that way, sometimes we limit ourselves.
Yeah, because we have blinders on.
Yeah, we have blinders on. Yeah.
And like we think that like what we see is what we get, but like if we take out the blinders, it's not. There's more.
There's more than the guys in your.
I know for sure. There's more guys, but I'm like, I don't know. I tried online dating. It's not. The church has the mutual, which is like the church, like a couple of members of the church. They do it. It's alright. Yeah. I feel uncomfortable with it. Like.
You go on blind dates with your friends? Sometimes do they ever set you up with blind dates?
No. I'm like, are you really my friends? I'm just kidding, but no.
Oh, I'm
okay with it.
Yeah.
like if people do set me up, I'm like, okay, more experience for me. Like, but I do find myself like thinking like, dang, I don't like. Is it because I'm a big girl?
Yeah.
Like, is it because of my weight? And I'm like, nah, that's not the reason. Like, that's not the reason why I like me.
Yeah.
And I think about it's like, is the way I act and stuff like that. Like, nah, it's just there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's just something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, but it's just like.
I think that's true. What you're speaking, I feel like a lot of girls, even guys too, we feel that way too. Yeah. Everybody feels that way, especially as we get older. Yeah. That's legit. I sometimes feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, and like, I'm starting to recognize like, even guys have the same issues girls have.
Yeah.
Of like not only like trying to see if like they're good enough or anything like that, but it's just like they also face the same issues. Like you guys face the same issues like shooting your shot like.
Yeah.
I feel like in society it's like
it's tough.
It's like
that rejection.
In my mind I'm like, dang, the guy should be making the first move, not me. And like, and then I thought about it and like I'm like, dang, what if I had to make the first shot, the first move? I've tried a couple times to be honest, but I'm just like, it hurt. I'm still single, that's why. But it like, and I think about like, dang, the guys have to do that.